Hi, I'm Donna Mazurek from Paige's Promise. And let me just tell you about Paige for a minute. Paige was the youngest of our five children. She was 22 when she passed away, and she went to the dentist when she was 17 years old for a tooth extraction. From that, she became addicted to opioids. She died when she was 22, March 30th of 2015, from a fentanyl-laced heroin overdose. At that time, there was not Narcan. They didn't treat people very, very nice, but Paige was a loving daughter. She didn't have a hurtful bone in her body. She would have helped anybody on the streets. She was fun. She laughed. She loved her family. And that is how Paige's Promise was born. That was 9 years ago. We're in our ninth year this year, and we do a lot for the community. We're trying to help people recover from opioid addiction or substance use. Um, we started about 3 or 4 years ago doing blessing bags. And in our bags, we put Narcan, Bibles, journals, information on getting help. In the wintertime, there's hats, socks, gloves, emergency blankets. We have ponchos and many, many other things. And we give those out to the homeless and people in recovery, to police departments, jails. In case someone overdoses, they can get a blessing bag. At UFAM, we gave out 100 bags to people. They normally have about 1,500 people come through there. This past September, Paige was honored by Flags for Fallen at a race called Fort for Fitness in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Richard Clark is the one that started Flags for Fallen a long, long time ago for KIAs. And I happened to do a T-shirt for a gal, and this is the back of it. Well, it's not the back of hers. Her son's name is John Henry. But we make these T-shirts, and you can get them off our website. They're all custom. Anyway, she couldn't afford the T-shirt. Her name's Randy Frazier, and her son was John Henry. So I sent her a T-shirt along with our information card. She happened to post it on Facebook when she got it by surprise. And Richard Clark, he's in charge of Flags for Fallen. He decided to give me a call and wanted to honor Paige at a race. So they carried a flag for Paige September 28th. And they do an honor guard ceremony at the end so that Paige will never, ever be forgotten. This past race, they gave away 41 flags. They've even given, there was a gal that wanted to carry a flag for the first nurse that lost his life during COVID. He was never ever able to say goodbye to his family. So she carried a flag for him. They gave away 41 flags this year. So we were very, very honored. And this is what was pinned to the gal's shirt, back of the shirt. I don't know, kind of glary.
Tilted a little, yeah.
And she ran with Paige's flag. And I have that at home on my thing. But anyways, that's a little bit about Paige and Paige's Promise. And also this year we're going to come up and we're going to do another fundraiser for winter blessing bags, but also for our Christmas fundraiser, which we decided years ago. We did stuffed animals and books for the kids that were being born in the hospitals, because a lot of babies are born with substance use disorder. So it was a great success, and so we would like to do that again this year. So anybody that can help us when we get this fundraiser going, it's all appreciated very, very much. I am so grateful and humbled for the 9-year journey that God has put me on. But anyways, a long, long time ago, after Paige passed, probably the year after Paige passed, I met this person that's sitting next to me. And his name is Brett Meyer. And filmed me for his documentary called Needles in the Hay. It's the epidemic in the Midwest. So let's have a little chat with Brett.
Let's do it. So yeah, I met. It was actually I think 2 years after. It was
Okay.
2017.
Okay.
Yeah, when we met, and yeah, that was a long time ago. You're
Hmm.
the first person I interviewed, the very first person.
I
I
was
was.
honored.
I know I was reaching out. I didn't know I was gonna be doing a documentary on something like this, and I came home from LA and
You had a Facebook post and I
yeah,
answered it.
I had a Facebook post about well, basically before I came home and from LA, and I had an injury and I was off work for a bit from shooting, and people were saying people are dying from heroin in our tiny towns, and I was like, I didn't even believe it. I was like, that just sounds crazy, you know what I mean? And so from there, I went back to LA, and then I had to come back for a little while because I was still injured and on disability, and I just thought I'd do some interviews and start seeing what was up about this. And then I did a post online, and it just kind of tumbleweed because actually a friend who's a cop, I asked and said, anybody that might want to talk or been affected by this. And she said, yeah, I'll look around, but I didn't know. And I was between LA and Chicago airport on a layover to get to Michigan. And she had posted about that. And then I was flooded with messages from moms and people that have been using or got clean and want to tell their story. It was just not bombarded, but just so many emails of things and messages. And it just went from there. And I mean, for years and years and years, people would contact me. And then I eventually cut a trailer together, and then that pulled more people in. And we filmed a lot. We filmed for like 5, 6 years, and then it's been
Hundreds of
seven
hours, right?
hundreds of hours. Yeah, people. I just wanted more and more. And then, but Donna's story is just so incredible, and how much she puts in for her daughter. I always think the moms are the most badasses ever because they're the ones that have been so affected by their own loved ones, and then having to have show the faces of their loved ones all the time. Like that's really intense for people, but Donna's so amazing. She sees it in a positive way and lets Paige speak, with that. That's a huge deal to me because I don't have kids. I don't know anything about that. But I think the mothers are just the most incredible thing to support something. They lost somebody and then to wake up every day and go, I'm going to make a difference with my daughter. And I'm like, that's extremely powerful to me. And I'm like honored to be able to have her tell her story and Paige's, and then be able to cut a film with it. And it's been a long time, and we're going to be cutting the first scene in 7 years, and we'll be cutting. Um, my editor will be cutting down a story. So just very excited, very excited,
Yeah,
very
I'm
cool.
happy.
I am very happy. There's been so many ups and downs and trying to get money, and you know how that is. I've
Hmm.
called her flipping out. I'm like, I don't know how I'm gonna get the money. How are we gonna do this? And she's like, just put it in God's hands. She's calm. She's calm after everything she's gone through, and I'm flipping out. You know how many times I'm like, I don't know how I'm gonna get it. How are we gonna do this? And she's just supportive for me, let alone everybody else out there. So it's pretty impressive.
And then, well, actually, Paige, or God put it on my heart at Paige's funeral. We had to fight. We had to save people. Right now, or last year, we lost 110,000 again. I mean, when's it going to end? We're losing over 300 people a day. 12 every 12 hours, 300 people overdose, and half of them don't make it. Every 12 hours. It's
Yeah.
it's sad. And now with fentanyl
That,
and carfentanil and
yeah.
the elephant iazoline, where Narcan doesn't work on that. So what do? You have to, talk about overdose, talk about don't take these pain pills because Paige became addicted to opioids. The Sackler family. I had the opportunity to, my husband and I went and marched, and Brett was there too. We marched in front of Purdue Pharmaceuticals with 500 other moms and dads who had lost kids. We actually laid on the ground and they drew chalk drawings of us.
Mm.
I mean, if you had just seen this in the pill bottles, and I've been to Harvard University, wanting the Sackler name off,
Removed.
removed from all buildings. They don't deserve to be out there. They fueled this with their marketing. I was one of 28 out of 180,000 that got to confront the Sackler family in the bankruptcy courts. Page's story was picked up and went around the world a couple of times. The next morning, the New York Times headlines was, "You murdered my daughter." That was they gave me 5 minutes to tell Page's story. You know, she was here for 22 years. I'm very fortunate that I got her for 22 years. But 5 minutes, we summed it up pretty good. Um, this is Paige's poster that I carry around. And this is the backside. You can see her in her coffin. You can see her in the morgue. That's how it. I don't know if Paige would be upset if I showed her in that light because she always had to be matching perfectly and her hair done and she was always sticking out her tongue at everybody, especially in pictures. That was her Paige. But she was funny too. I remember when she was like hey, 4 years old, she had um eczema really, really bad. I took her to a dermatologist and he gave me this cream and he told me to take her home and tonight put it on her, wrap her in saran wrap before she went to bed. So we're in the dining room that night. My husband's cleaning out the refrigerator. And when he cleans the refrigerator, he kind of takes everything, shelves and everything out of it. Well, you know, I'm creaming up Paige and she's sitting there and she seems kind of upset. I said, "What's the matter? You know, why are you getting so riled?" You know, I'm wrapping her in the saran wrap, you know, we're putting her onesie on her for bed. She looked at me, she says, "Mama, I don't want to spend the night in the refrigerator." Because that's what she thought she was doing.
I never heard that, sir. You never told me that.
Yeah. So she was funny. She things that would come out of her mouth would just like floor you, like, where'd you come up with that? Like her one sister one time took her to a tanning salon because they were in a wedding. And Paige says, "Well, do I take off all my clothes?" She says, "Well, if you don't want any lines." And she's like, "I don't know. I climb up in this thing." And sister says, "Yeah." Well, Paige had a sweating issue. She had hyperhidrosis, so she sweat so bad, so that she thought she was going to get electrocuted when she
Oh my God.
got into the tanning bed. Yeah. So, you know, it's just things like that. She was a lot of fun.
We she had done it, given me a bunch of letters, which will be within the documentary. We did a voiceover of all the letters that Pages wrote in rehab and in different parts of you know, in her life, and it was really cool because we get to hear Paige actually talk and get to hear her voice throughout different areas of it, and I think that's really cool because, you know, Donna talks and it's almost like, you know, looking at some of the footage, like that Paige is almost talking back, you know, and I think that's really beautiful that we were able to capture that and really have her direct words. It's pretty neat, you know, it's pretty neat.
I can't wait until we finally get this done.
Oh yeah, you know how we do it. It takes a while, so we're just trying to get the finishing funds, and, you know, go from there. But we're close. We're really close. I feel good now. We're not asking for tons of money that we needed earlier. Now we're getting close, so I think a lot of people will support and help get us to that finish line, because we're really close and we need it. You know, you know how it is. We can't do it by
Yes.
ourselves. We need each other.
Yeah, because something's gotta, turn on a switch in people's heads and say, we've got to end this.
And the stigma is really bad still. Um, it's really bad. And me and Donna went in Ohio, and there was a cop in Ohio that was on the news, and I saw, and he didn't,
Yes.
yeah, and he didn't want to help give Narcan to people. He thought addicts shouldn't be helped out, like they spend too much tax money on addicts, and he actually said this on the news. I wanted to go out with and confront that situation at that police station. So who better to ask than badass Donna over here if she wants to go and kind of show Paige and what she's doing and that she lost her daughter, and we'll go into this police station. So guerrilla style, as they call it, we just go in there unannounced and just talk to the police and kind of tell them, that everybody matters and it's really important. You should put your money towards things to help people because it's part of the community, protect and serve regardless of anything people are going through. They need the help. And it was great because Donna don't mess around. We went in right in there.
But they
Didn't
didn't
care.
want to take our Narcan.
Yeah, they didn't. We had a box of Narcan that had to been at that time. I mean, at different kind of around that area, you were still paying for it at times,
Yeah.
and it was like it had to been about $1,000 worth of Narcan, and they said they wouldn't take it, so I left it there. I said, well, I'm going to leave it no matter what, and we left that Narcan, and hopefully they considered, or who knows what they did, but we weren't leaving without leaving it.
And I had my poster and I had
Yeah.
a stack of my business cards. And this detective's there, and I said, here. And he looked at me and says, you want me to take all these? I says, yeah, maybe pass them out and it might save somebody's life.
Yeah, it was incredible, and we were able to film all this and capture all this on film, which will be in the documentary as well. There's just a lot of journeys and a lot of bravery Donna has and support for her daughter and everybody out there. She's always doing things for everyone else. It's a real big deal. It's a real big deal, and I'm really proud of you. I'm super proud of you.
Paige also had a judge that sentenced her to jail time and CPI. And after a month in CPI, they thought that she was cured. Far from it. People need much longer than a month to survive this.
100%.
You're looking probably 6 months before you even start thinking a little bit straight. At least a year before it's out of your system.
Yeah, you're not it takes time for your endorphins to come back because it takes so much of that out of you. I'm in recovery myself, and people ask, that are first getting clean, I say just the first 3 months are gonna suck. Life's gonna suck. You think there's nothing better, and then it will get better. But you need to get back in a good place because you've taken every happy endorphin and you blast it out in your head. You don't have any more, but it does come back. We have that, and you start to laugh more, and it comes back. But those first months is horrible, but you just stick it out and it'll be better. But like she's saying, you can't. 30 days is just not going to work, man.
Right.
It just does. It's really tough. You need a lot of support. Everybody's different, and it does work. But I'm saying, like you're saying, for situations, it's really tough, and they need to have longer time to get clean. You know what I mean?
Right.
Have a
Because
good
you've got
support
those
system.
withdrawals still.
It goes.
Always those feelings where you've got to have that next pill so that you're not sick. Her judge also didn't know her before Paige passed, had never met her. We met her. She met the family the week after Paige's funeral, and she took Paige's story across the country too. She was doing 100 and some odd speaking engagements a year, and she puts Paige's morgue picture up on an 8x10 screen so that students and other people can see. And I've been in rooms where people are bawling after they look at that because it is such an eye opener. Paige had overdosed a month before she died, February 28th. And she was taken to Huron Valley. And the ER doctor told her sister, we'll just stabilize her and send her on her merry way because the next time she's going to be dead. Well, her sister went to the administrator and said, look, I want my sister in detox. I want her in rehab. So they did put her in detox in Maple Grove for a few days before they let her on her merry way. There's so many things, and Paige suffered from grand mal seizures from this. Um, she had a doctor that gave her the wrong med, that she couldn't take certain meds with other meds. She had an episodic um, psychotic episode one time where um, her father and I lived in Florida at that time, and she moved to Michigan to be around her sisters for a different scene. But anyway, she had a boyfriend, and she had taken this med that she shouldn't have, and ended up in this episode where she sent me pictures where she was slicing her body up, and she tried hanging herself that night. The problem was the boyfriend wouldn't take her to the hospital because she was a good talker. Had she gone to the hospital, maybe she could have gotten a little more help.
Yeah, I didn't know that story either.
Those are some of the nightmares we went through. When the day Paige passed, I couldn't reach her for a few days. And I went out on my daughter's porch and I was doing my prayers that morning. And I finally said, God, if you got to take her, take her. As long as she's on one side and you're on the other, I'll be okay. And he took her home. She had hep C. Doctors could have gotten rid of it, but she couldn't stay in rehab long enough. She had been through rehabs, ran every time because the power over her was too intense. She couldn't fight it. So that's just bits and pieces.
All that.
And when we went to Ohio, I planted a tree.
Yeah, she planted a tree,
Yes.
which is very exciting on that.
We were celebrating Dayton's fellowship
Started raining, remember?
25th anniversary.
Yeah.
Recovery anniversary, and I took a tree down and I took down a plaque rooting for recovery. Presented that, talked to people, met some wonderful people there. I met a gal that was a substance user, got pushed out of a 10-story floor window, broke 110 bones in her body, and she was still living. She was just full of life and in recovery. Met some awesome people.
Yeah, it was a good time. And then you planting the tree was really cool. And then it started raining.
Yeah.
A little bit. That was really cool. It was really cool. And it was fun to be able to film that, you in a moment doing that, you know what I mean, from all different angles. And yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah.
Powerful.
We've done a lot.
I know, we have.
Yeah, I have, and I can't even think of everything I did.
I know. It's a lot. Yeah, it's
because I don't worry about it, God, basically puts me on the journey and says, do this. Mm-hmm. So I do it and then I forget about it. All right, that one's done. Time for the next one.
That's how you are.
And every time I want to give up, God always puts something out there saying,
absolutely on that.
You're not done yet.
Yep.
I'm not done with you yet.
Yeah.
But I do this for Paige and for the Lord. And I know we've saved people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all that matters. And when I've done some talks and stuff, I've learned that, people that have suffered from substance use, they don't feel they're loved. Well, I tell everybody I love them. And I'm a big one on hugs too. So, anybody can call me anytime. My number's all over the place. You know, if you need to talk, I'll talk. Even if you're grieving, I've talked to a lot of grieving parents. I'm in a lot of different groups with them, and we survive. God helps us to survive.
Yeah.
But until this is over and these parents aren't losing another precious child, we have to keep fighting.
Yeah.
Somebody has to fight these people that keep sending it.
Mm-hmm. Bringing the awareness is good, and with the documentary and the trailer, and so forth, showing that people have hit me up and asked me where to get in for different rehabs and this and that, and anybody that's using has called me, or like I have a parent say, hey, I have someone using, can we would you like to talk to him or something? I say, well, I'm always down to talk. I mean, but I'll never give advice. I'll always just listen, and if someone wants help, I'll suggest ideas. So I mean, being in recovery, we're not here to tell. I'm not here to tell anybody what to do or how to do it, but just to listen. And
Right.
once you start listening, you go from there. So I don't care how far. I mean, we've filmed people that live on the street for 10 years who are shooting dope or live in tents, afraid they're going to get beat up, but think they're going to get stolen from and everything. And I mean, in the worst conditions you could ever imagine, we've been in there filming. But there's also remarkable stories within that, where a year later someone calls and says, hey, I live in a house now, I got a car and a job and a baby. I mean, my friend just bought a house. He lived in a tent when we first filmed him, in a tent. Now he bought a house with his girlfriend. So there's also some remarkable stories, to tell throughout the journey.
People getting their children back.
Yeah. Yes, people getting their children back, out of rehab and making a difference and change, and then they're out speaking too. And there's a lot of good and a lot of hard times, we just keep pushing through, keep pushing through. Wow, it's been a long time. We've been through a big journey together. We haven't really.
Yeah.
It's been a long time.
You've even gone out to the Sackler house in California.
Oh, yeah, I left some of your shirts there in front of the Sackler house. Yeah.
Never got a donation.
Oh yeah, we asked them to help donate the Sackler family. Big old mansion outside the gate. They didn't answer when we filmed that, and didn't answer when I asked if they could come out and so forth. And we left a bunch of shirts and cards to see if they wanted to help donate for the cause, but we never heard from them. Surprise, surprise. But
Yeah.
it's not the point,
What else have we done?
In 7 years, I think, yeah, we can sum it up in 5 minutes. Yeah, right. A lot of stuff. I don't know. We covered a lot of good stuff, I feel. Definitely. Definitely.